Today on CityCast Denver, how are local Democrats responding to Trump? That's the question for many in Denver who are angry about ICE raids and tariffs and everything else that's happened since November. The answer for a lot of lefty donors has been Manny Rutinel. He's a state legislator from Commerce City who's raised more than any other Dem, $1.6 million in the race to take on Gabe Evans. So I sat down with him to get to know him better. And stick around to the end for a sponsored segment all animal lovers will want to hear. Today is Thursday, August 21st. I'm Paul Caroli, and here's what Denver's talking about. Manny Rutinel, welcome to CityCast Denver.
Thanks so much for having me, Paul. Really appreciate it.
We were just talking off mic. You've been traveling, but you have to come back to Denver for work.
That's right. Yeah, we're having a special session because Trump and the congressional Republicans in Colorado and across the country have decided to gut important programs for healthcare, for food, all the things that allow working families to get what they need. And now we're having to shore up the $1 billion budget hole that they've created in Colorado. And that's what I'll be doing instead of... Actually, I was supposed to be officiating my cousin's wedding this weekend, and now I won't be able to do that. She's still going to get married.
That's good. They're not waiting for you.
They're not waiting for me, it seems.
Well, yeah, so this what do you say, $1.2 billion hole, the budget thing?
There's a range, but it could be up to $1.2 billion, is my understanding. That's right.
And I guess you all have to go back and fix it. Can you just be honest? Like, do you understand what that means, all the tax stuff? I was trying to read up on what exactly the hole is. And I don't understand it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit complicated for sure. One of my favorite classes in law school was actually income tax. My professor was incredible. And I happen to have an economics background. And even I still have trouble with some of the details. But the general idea is that the Trump administration has created an immense number of loopholes for the largest corporations. And as a result of that, that gets passed down to Colorado. And now we're having to close up a lot of those loopholes, make sure that there's no tax avoidance happening in Colorado where companies are putting money or assets in different locations as a way to do tax avoidance.
I saw that was one of Polis's ideas for fixing this.
Yeah, there's a few different ideas out there that some of my colleagues are bringing. But ultimately, we need to shore up a $1 billion budget hole because the Trump administration has decided to give tax breaks to billionaires.
Right. I saw some of Polis's ideas. It sounded like they were all like, basically businesses pay more. Is that what your sense is? Do you think that's where this thing's going to land?
The idea is to make sure that corporations are playing on an even playing field and that we're allowing for these corporations to pay their fair share in taxes so that working families can get the resources that they need. Like if we don't have the $1 billion budget shortfall, we're able to pay for important programs like healthcare, Medicaid, more food assistance for hungry children. One of my programs that I passed in 2024 was to expand the earned income tax credit to make Colorado the best state in the union for the earned income tax credit, which gives money directly to working families. And now because of this shortfall, that program has been basically eliminated, which means that a family of four won't be able to have a $4,000 check during tax time. That's money that they could have used to pay for a mechanic bill, to put food on the table or a roof over their child's head. That's what's happening right now. They're literally forcing us to take food from the mouths of children.
Okay, so I'm getting a sense of what the debate is going to be over the next few days at the legislature. We don't know how it's going to end up. There's going to be negotiations. There's going to be different bills. I've heard a lot of people want to introduce all new ideas, new bills, and make you all stay longer for this special session. But I'm not that interested in that. I'm more interested in you, I guess, because you're running for this congressional seat up in CD8. You want to be the Democrat that takes on Gabe Evans, who, I don't think a lot of Denverites are loving these days. He's a big Trump guy, but that's a really tight race. A lot of people across the country are looking at it, and you've been fundraising really, really strong. And as someone relatively new to the legislature, I'm curious, are your colleagues looking at you different now? Or do you have more clout when you're going into these talks in the special session?
Yeah, I think my colleagues have had a lot of respect for me even before my congressional campaign success. Even before...
But it's different now. Come on. It's different.
They all want to be on the social media now. Maybe that's a piece of it. But, even before I launched my campaign for Congress, I had over 20 of my colleagues endorsed me for the campaign because they knew that I had the work ethic, the energy, and the experience to take on what is the most competitive race in the entire country. And that's what this is.
But that's the thing though. Sorry, you don't have a lot of experience.
Well, let me speak on my own behalf here. My mom's got this plaque on her wall and it says, it's not the years in your life, it's the life in your years. And I think a lot of people see me, they see someone who's 30 years old. They might think, oh, this person might not have that much experience. But I've been working since I was a young teen. I was mowing lawns. I was painting walls. I worked at McDonald's for 2.5 years. I sold my blood at a plasma center over 100 times. I've got a scar on my arm. That's a daily reminder for me of the struggles that I went through in that time, the struggles of working families. And then I became a tutor. I graduated from high school and became a substitute teacher for 2.5 years. After that, I became an attorney where I took on corporations and some of the biggest corporations on the planet and told them, you need to be held accountable for your attempts to profit off the backs of low-income people. This is all I became a state representative. When I was a state representative, my first session, I passed over a dozen bills. So I've got a ton of experience, not just at the legislature, but throughout my life. And I think that's what people are looking for, someone with the work ethic, energy, experience that I bring.
Let's talk about one of the bills that you passed, because that's the other topic of this special session, and it's been a really hot topic in Denver lately, which is AI. You were a sponsor of this bill that is going to go into effect in February. Senator Julie Gonzalez on our show on Friday called it a nation-leading consumer protection measure, but Governor Polis wants to soften it before it goes into effect. Can you explain what the bill does? Just so, because I don't think people are super clear on this, but it seems like Colorado's way out in front.
Yes, Colorado, I've been honored to help lead the way on this AI legislation. And let me back up a little bit and talk about AI more broadly. You know, AI, we're using it a lot more. It's taking over a lot more of our lives. It has the potential to bring about an immense amount of prosperity and help us figure things out in the context of healthcare and make decisions more streamlined. So there's a lot of potential there. But what we want to make sure is that we create an environment for this AI to grow sustainably without causing an immense amount of harms, perhaps especially to groups of people that have historically been harmed tremendously with our systems. And so what we did with this law, the Senate Bill 205, as it's often referred to, or the Artificial Intelligence Act in Colorado, is we've established safeguards so that the deployers and developers of these technologies do risk assessments, disclose when the technology is being used, allow for consumers to have a right to appeal, so that when these technologies are used in ways that harm protected classes, depending on the race, depending on the sex, those individuals have a right to appeal those things and correct them and create a system where these AI technologies are used in a way that don't harm these people. Let me give you just one example of what this looks like. It turns out, there's been a lot of research on this and different examples, but it turns out you submit a resume and your name is Trayvon and you played basketball in high school. You submit that same resume and your name is Jared and you played lacrosse in high school. And the one that is Jared and played lacrosse gets better ratings on some of these portals of job applications. And that just is wrong. Obviously, what's happening here is that the AI is using its historic data set to make decisions on the future. And what we don't want is for garbage in to result in garbage out. Mm-hmm. We don't want racism into the data to result in racism out and propagating the racism and sexism into the future. That's what that bill is about.
Yeah, I think it's such a black box because this program you're talking about with the hiring, I've talked about this on the show. We have this at CityCast. Workday is what it's called. I think a lot of people have this. It's a very big company. And when I look at resumes for job applicants, it shows me here's the applicant, here's their current experience, and then here's the percentage fit for the job. And that's the AI piece, 25, 50, or 75% fit. So I can't look in and see how they evaluate that at all. So I don't actually know that it's lacrosse or whatever it is.
Right.
I mean, I just have to be assuming. And then obviously, I mean, these sorts of discrimination hazards are so well known. Like that part I understand, but I guess I'm more interested in like the pushback because you're talking about wanting the prosperity and wanting Colorado to be a good place to do business, but Business leaders say they hate this bill. And that's who Polis is listening to. 200 business leaders signed on to a letter expressing concern about this law. So, are you hearing them?
We're listening to them. We've been chatting with so many of the stakeholders to make sure that we bring something this special session that addresses any concerns they may have, that streamlines the process.
You have changes in mind?
We are trying to build a bill right now. We've already put out the rough draft of it, or the first iteration of it, which may be subject to amendments. Mm-hmm. It's the AI Sunshine Act. And what we're hoping to do there is make sure that there's at least transparency and disclosure. And the burden, I think, will be significantly less for deployers. And it'll allow for deployers to have joint liability with developers, so that developers, when they're making this technology, are keeping in mind the potential civil rights implications of the deployment of these technologies. And so we're trying to fix as much of the potential issues. And I think we're going to be able to do that during the special session.
You have I guess I'm trying to tease out where you stand on this bigger question too, because AI is a great example of where, people are talking about regulations, but Colorado's in this position, especially Denver right now, where we're hearing business owners complain that this is not a good place to do business. And I've heard stories about, companies that were at one point looking to relocate here that no longer are, because of the way that we have done things like raise the minimum wage or provide more protections that a lot of people like, but make this a less appealing place to try to make money. Do you have some kind of general guideline or way that you think about that big question of keeping Colorado open for business?
Well, I think the numbers in many ways speak for themselves as to the ability for businesses to do great work here in Colorado. Obviously, we enjoy all sorts of things across the state that we love, and the unemployment rate here is low. It's one of the lowest in the country. And so I think that speaks wonders to where we are as a state. That being said, we can do a lot more. And what I've been trying to do at the State House is make sure that we are addressing some of the biggest cost concerns for the general population and for businesses. I think housing is a top priority for folks. So I've worked on a lot of housing bills in the past to make sure that we bring housing prices down so that businesses and their employees are able to live and work here, live and work hopefully near their businesses. So I think that's one of the bigger concerns that I've been hearing a lot of businesses and the general population talking about. But in general, one of my bills last session was to streamline regulations for food trucks. We all love food trucks. They, all right, you might have had a bad experience with one of them.
High cost, low quality. That's my problem. I never have a good time at a food truck.
Really? Okay. Well, I think you're in the minority there, but that's okay. I'll allow it. Hopefully we'll cut this out so that you don't lose the food truck.
You're worried about me.
I'm worried about you right now because the food trucks are a beloved part of the Colorado community. And what I did in the legislature is streamline the process so that they don't have to get a permit in every single jurisdiction, so that they have one that works across the state. So that's one example where I think Democrats and Republicans can come together to make the whole process for business as streamlined as possible, so that we have folks focusing on making delicious foods on their food trucks that hopefully are conveniently located without having to worry about paperwork. And maybe now that the bill is passed, you'll be able to find the food truck for you.
No, I mean, I get what you're saying. I mean, it should lead to lower costs. That sounds like a good result. But I mean, would you have a favorite? What's the one? What am I missing? Which one?
I'd rather talk about religion right now. I think that feels less controversial. Yeah. I think.
Okay. What's your favorite religion?
Food truck. Let me think about what was the most recent food truck experience that I had that was,
that was great.
That was
where
great.
You were like, wow, my hands are not sticky at all.
Oh, well, stickiness, that's not necessarily that's part of the experience. Sometimes you're eating some Ethiopian food truck food and your hands get a little bit sticky, but that's a reminder of the delicious food that you just had. So I'll say that Ethiopian food truck that goes to City Park Jazz. I'm forgetting the name of the restaurant, but shout out to them. They know who they are. Okay. And other people
City Park Jazz, Ethiopian.
That's right.
All right. That's a good tip. I like that. This episode is brought to you by Denver Health. Join Denver Health for an exclusive exhibit, Stories in Black and White. This powerful display shares real stories of people affected by the opioid crisis and overdose epidemic. Stories of hope, struggle, loss, healing, courage, and change. Because the truth is, substance use disorders don't discriminate. They touch people from every walk of life. And by listening, we can reduce stigma and open the door to support. Okay, so I'm looking at their site. I'm seeing some examples of these stories. These look like really personal, serious stories of people that overcame some really hard challenges. Yeah, this person, Kitty, thanks to Denver Health, I'm now in recovery. And for the first time in a long time, I feel hope. The crippling hopelessness that came with my addiction is no longer part of my daily life. Wow. You can experience the exhibit for yourself on Monday, September 1st at Civic Center Park, or Thursday, September 4th at the Central Public Library. For full details, visit denverhealth.org/blackandwhite. This episode is brought to you by the Arvada Center. And Olivia, I got to tell you, I've been looking forward to this one because I love the way they write their copy like it's a trailer for a movie. In a world, 7 strangers, 1 remote country house, a snowstorm, and then somebody turns up dead. The Mousetrap, a really great play that you should see, and it's very cool that the Arvada Center is doing it. I've seen it a couple of times. I loved it both times. And they're doing it September 5th through October 12th at the Arvada Center. The Arvada Center produces award-winning theater right here in our community, featuring Colorado actors, directors, and designers. See this iconic and Paul-approved murder mystery play right in your backyard at the Arvada Center. See for yourself why Agatha Christie's ingenious detective story is the longest-running play in the world. Is that actually true? What about Shakespeare? The Mousetrap play, wikipedia.com. It ran from 1952 on London's West End until the March 16th, 2020, and then it had to stop because of the pandemic. That's like, how many years is that? That's so long. Good for them. The tickets are available now at arvadacenter.org. Are you spending a lot of time in Denver? Your district is like north suburbs, right?
Yeah, so I'm currently representing the good people of Commerce City and unincorporated Adams County, which includes Welby, in the State House. Mm-hmm. I'm running for Congress to represent basically down from Commerce City up to Greeley.
Yeah.
So Adams, Weld County, and a little sliver of Larimer County. And I mean, the district, both my State House district, have tons to offer. The congressional district has tons to offer. Colorado as a whole, I think, is the best state in the union. I'm willing to fight anybody on that. So I've been privileged.
I don't think our listeners are going to fight on that.
That's right. Maybe we'll stick to the controversies around food trucks instead. Part of what makes Colorado so great is its food truck culture.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Gotcha. Right. Good. Your district, it's super diverse. It's super diverse. And that's part of how it was drawn. It was, some people would say, gerrymandered to be super even. It's going to be a tight race. And then if you win the primary and then you get to go against Evans and win that, in 2 years, it'll almost for sure be a tight race again. But what I want to ask you about your district is it's an agricultural powerhouse. And on your TikTok, you mentioned earlier that you talked about the vegan chorizo at Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
Are you now, or have you ever been vegan?
So the congressional district that I'm running in has a tremendous amount of agriculture and tons of farmers and ranchers there. I'm focused, on mindful eating and making sure that I'm eating in a way that allows me to do the immense amount of work that I have to do. Obviously, at the State House, that's like long days and strength training.
You're not answering.
Well, I'll get to it because I was vegan in the past, but now I'm a little more flexible. But ultimately, I'm trying to be as mindful with my eating so that I can do as much as I can. Like, I think that's a fundamental part of being an active person. Is, for me, it's my mindful eating.
Mindful eating.
Yeah.
Does that include meat?
Typically not. No, but that's not necessarily off the table, but it's just not something that I typically eat.
Are you worried about that at all for this race?
No, certainly not. I think the people in the district aren't worried about what's on my plate. They're worried about being able to afford what's on theirs.
Wow. That's a good line.
I mean, it's just the truth. That's just the reality, is that folks want someone who's got the energy and work ethic to be able to take back this seat from the horrors of the Trump administration. That's what I hope to do.
But I think they do want someone that represents their values. Too.
Totally.
And a lot of these people, like, this is their livelihoods. This is what's on their plate, is what they get to sell. And if their representative is saying, eating meat's not a good idea, folks.
Well, it's not what I'm saying. It's certainly, personally, I'm interested in making sure that we support our ranchers. I think they're the bedrock of our Colorado economy. And so in that way, I'm fully aligned with our ranching and farming economy.
Huh. But just not for you, not for dinner.
No, I mean, I think it's not something that I'm personally doing at the moment, but it's not something that I'm against.
What is your reason for not doing it? I was vegetarian for 10 years.
Yeah.
I actually just started eating meat like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
My own so I get it. Like, it's complicated. I would have said for most of the time I was not eating meat, the reason why I was doing it was inertia and just having made the choice and not wanting to think about it again.
Yeah, that's a huge part of it. That's a huge part of it.
Was that part of it? What was it for you? Like, what was your reason?
I wanted to be able to be as healthy as I could. And at the time, I thought that I felt best when I ate as much plant-based foods. And so I wanted to maximize that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's been a good journey. And now I'm spending my time eating delicious food truck food at Ethiopian food trucks across City Park Jazz.
Ethiopian makes sense now because they have great vegetarian and vegan options. That's a cuisine which is quite good.
It's amazing. Amazing food.
Okay. Immigration is a hot topic. Maybe you've heard about it. I know you have, we've talked about it before, and I've quoted you on our show talking about it. But I want to just get straight to the thing that is continually perplexing for me right now is like how Democrats are responding to the Trump administration's crackdown. And where is the new message going to be? Because what they were doing last few years didn't work. Obviously, it didn't work for America. Trump won. This was his main issue. And now what I'm seeing is Democrats are kind of resorting to this talking point that I think was more of a Republican thing about the people who are deported should be the criminals. And it's okay if someone who is a criminal is deported. I've heard you say this on Kyle Clark's show. I think you said violent criminals should be deported. That's the line that you think the people should be deported are the violent criminals. Why do you think that's the place that Democrats are landing right now, including yourself?
Yeah, so I think part of the issue here, and let me tell you a little bit about my background because I think it informs where I stand on this. I'm a birthright citizen. My mom immigrated to America in search of that American dream. She contributed immensely to this country in the work that she did, in the smiles that she had. She just was an amazing person. And that's exactly who we should be making sure isn't under threat of ICE taking from their children. And so what we need to do, I think, is make sure that we have immigration system that allows for a lot of these wonderful, hardworking folks who just want to make ends meet and provide for their families to continue to live in this country and contribute in all the ways that they do. I think when you talk to a bunch of folks across the district, this is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that there's an agreement on basically everything. And they tell you they don't want families to be ripped apart. They don't want folks that have been here for a long time contributing to be sent back to areas that they don't even recognize. I've had friends and family members who are DACA recipients who were terrified when Trump came in. I think, though, folks are also interested in making sure that we have an ordered system and that their communities are safe. And so I think there is room to be able to make sure that we have immigrants stay who are doing great, wonderful things. And if folks are contributing an immense amount of harm through violent crimes, I think that is reason for removal.
But politically, do you think that's a winner? Like, why is that going to work?
Well, the reason why it works is because that's what I'm hearing on the ground. That's what folks, that's the common ground. What they don't want is what the Trump administration is doing right now, which is indiscriminately ripping families apart, sending United States citizens away from this country. That's what they're doing. It's horrific. People that have voted for Donald Trump have come up to me and told me that they've been lied to. They thought Trump was going to do crackdowns on immigration that was about violent criminals, and instead they're indiscriminately taking away their immigrant neighbors. They thought that Trump was going to focus on healthcare, and instead he's gutting Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. They thought that he was going to focus on groceries, and instead he's gutting food stamps and starting trade wars with the entire world. It's horrific. And I think it's a winning message because people resonated, and it's true.
So then I'm thinking ahead to the next step of like, what's the first move? Like, I understand not this. Even he's even losing people like Joe Rogan on this crackdown he's doing, but so not this. So like, let's say you get in, you're voting on stuff, you're putting forth proposals in Congress. What's the first step to fixing the problem?
So I think what's been happening in the previous Congresses is that solutions have been brought that have been bipartisan. And then Trump comes in and says, we can't do that because I want to be able to run on this message. They're treating immigration as a political football instead of actually addressing the problem. Republicans don't want to solve immigration because they want to be able to use it against Democrats, because their whole shtick, it seems, Trump's whole shtick is to scapegoat. It's to divide and conquer. It's to point a finger at the immigrant or at the mom with food stamps or the kid who's LGBTQ, instead of the reality, which is that the only minority group in the United States which has been engaging in corruption and buying our democracy are the billionaires. So they're trying to distract us with these issues. And I think what we need to do is look back at the proposals that have been part of the previous Congresses, which had bipartisan support, and hopefully bring those forward.
All right. Just a few last questions, get to know you a little better. Some of my favorite stuff to talk about. Blucifer or the Big Blue Bear? You have a favorite?
I'm gonna go Blucifer with this one.
Okay, me too. I love Blucifer. Would you sign a letter if I was, say, like getting a letter together to the family, the Jimenez family, who are holding on to the IP of Blucifer?
Yeah.
And I wrote a letter that said, "Hey, Jimenez estate, the city of Denver would really benefit if we could use the image of Blucifer and his likeness and sell merch and start, really embracing this as our symbol of our city." Would you sign that letter?
I would.
Hell yeah. Okay, great. Good. Campaign starts today.
Right.
Chipotle or Illegal Pete's?
Oh, Chipotle has been there for me more. And so I'm in terms of loyalty, you gotta go back home with the person you came to the dance with or whatever.
Wow.
I don't know if that's the phrase. I've never said that before in my entire life.
It has had a rough couple of years, Chipotle.
Yeah.
The last couple have been not great, but over the course of the lifetime of the company.
Yeah. One time,
boy, the highs were high.
I've done the Chipotle thing so much that there was a time that I bit into a Chipotle burrito and I had a rock in my burrito.
Uh-huh.
That's how many, you got to think that happens once every million times. Yeah. I haven't had Chipotle a million times, but enough that I've eaten rocks out of a Chipotle burrito.
And then you went back.
I went back because it's that good.
Yeah.
And that's the ad. Are they sponsors of the show?
No, please.
They should
I
be.
wish they were.
Are you an Illegal Pete's guy?
No.
Okay. No. So you're a Chipotle guy.
Although I need to update the listeners. There was quite a contentious conversation between me and the head of Illegal Pete's, Pete Turner, a few months ago on the show. Very popular episode.
Yeah. He's part of Legal Pete's.
Actually, the weird thing is he's not Illegal Pete. His dad is Illegal Pete.
Oh, really?
He's had to answer that like 100 times because many people find it offensive for a white man to sell Mexican food under the name Illegal Pete's.
Totally.
But it's not about that at all, apparently, for him. Yeah, no, I went to the Wheat Ridge one, and it's great. I had a great time at Illegal Pete's recently. Had to say that.
Sure.
If you go to Congress, you'll probably end up in meetings with Trump. Probably be in the same room. He'll probably want to shake your hand at some point and say, "Welcome to DC." What would you say to him?
I would say that it's time to put a stop to the horrors of your administration. That's what I'm here to do. Just tell him right up front.
Manny Runell, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for listening. I'd like to know what you think about all this too. Do you like Manny's vision on immigration? Do you think he's got a shot against Gabe Evans? Or are you eager to hear more from the other Dems he's running against? Call in and let us know at 720-500-5418. Again, you can text, you can leave a voicemail. The number is 720-500-5418. And stick around, because we got one more thing for you today. It's a sponsored segment for the pet owners out there, and everyone else too.
I'm Bree Davies, and I'm here with Dr. Jessica Apted, Medical Director with Sploot. Hi, Jessica.
Hi, how are you?
Great. So I've heard things about Sploot from other dog owners, and it sounds like you all have a really different approach to pet care. What makes Sploot unique?
There's definitely a couple things. I think, the main thing you can see in our signs and our website and everything like that, it says that we are a general practice and urgent care. So again, you'll have a lot of times where you'll just be able to go to your GP, but then if it's something, same day or urgent, you won't be able to get in. Or if you go to the ER, then you don't end up getting to follow up with the same doctor or get any of the wellness stuff taken care of as well. So we are kind of that nice in between where you can come see us for vaccines, spays, dentals, but also you're able to get in for those more scary or serious things, whether, your dog ate a tennis ball or a bite wound or something like that. We're again there to cover kind of both of those bases. And then you get that continuity of care of getting to come back to us.
That's really nice. I'm thinking about my sweet dog, rest in peace, Frank. He was a Papillon that liked to fight, and he got into a big fight once, and we were like, our vet's not open. Where do we go? So it sounds like you guys do the routines, but also oh my God, where do I go?
Yeah. And that's another thing, like you said, like my vet's not open. We're also, our hours and days and locations, we're open 7 days a week, 10 hours, every day. So 8 to 8, 365s, even on the holidays and stuff. I know crazy stuff always seems to happen on the holidays or when you're
Always.
traveling.
That's amazing. So Sploot started here in Denver, but has expanded throughout the city in Colorado. How does the local community continue to influence and shape the way that Sploot has built your care model?
We definitely, started when we were first starting out and continue to really engage in community events. We do a lot of things around the city with local rescues, shelters, any sort of events where pets are going to be at. So engaging there and listening to people, what people really said they're kind of like missing from veterinary care for their pets. The biggest thing is that here in Denver specifically, people treat their pets really as a family member. It is not just a pet, and so they really are wanting to find somewhere where they can get the same level of care, the same options, the same things that they get when they go to the doctor, but for their pets.
I love that. I have struggled with that, finding something that feels as personal as my own doctor, because yeah, my dog, my current dog, Boomhauer, is my baby. And, knowing like, oh, I can see the same doc, or we can go, it doesn't matter what we need, you guys have it all. So something awesome I've heard about Sploot is that you all are catering to all kinds of working parents, really. What else do you do to make it easier for people to work with Sploot?
So, I mean, a lot of it these days comes down to communication, right? So we have the ability for our medical staff to be able to text and email clients and get back to them very quickly. It's not you're calling in to leave a message and someone will call you back. Always, we're able to communicate quickly. We have a whole very unique set of scheduling and triage specialists. So again, you're able to get a recommendation for what's going to be best for your pet, when to be seen, how to be seen, where to be seen from these specialists. So you're almost getting kind of a medical recommendation at the same time you're getting scheduled. So definitely for working pet parents, that lets them know like, oh, okay, I can wait till tomorrow, or like, oh, I need to get in immediately. Or we also have drop-offs as an availability. So again, if you're like, okay, I can come in now, but I just got to drop off and then I got to go back to work. We also have the mobile app. So that one gives pet parents access to their pet's medical information and charts. So, even if for some reason it is after 8 p.m. and they do need to go somewhere, they're not having to rerun all these things that maybe they had just done with us when they go to the specialist. They can pull it all up and see it right there. Another big thing I know in Denver, the metro area, we talked about the hours, but we also have free parking everywhere. And so the accessibility in the city.
That's a big deal for Denverites.
Yes, exactly. Is a big thing. So yeah, free parking everywhere. One of our clinics even has like concierge parking where they'll go park your car for you. So again, it's accessibility, whether it comes from the hours, the parking, the ability to talk to our medical team.
It sounds like a lot of peace of mind for a pet owner, honestly, because,
Yeah.
like you said, not just from the hours of availability, but like the ability to drop my dog off on my way to work and not have to schedule that in between my lunch break. Like just makes it so much easier. That's amazing. Jessica, thanks again for being here. And again, folks can check out splutvets.com to learn more. We'll have a link in our show notes. Thanks, Jessica.
Thanks.
That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. If you enjoyed the show, why not take a minute to tell a food truck operator or a rancher in Congressional District 8 about us? Rate the show wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe to our morning newsletter and learn more about us at denver.citycast.fm. And remember, you can support the show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Denver neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. One of those perks is coming up at the end of the month. We've got an amazing meetup exclusively for members planned at what might be the hottest spot of the summer. But you got to sign up to find out. We'll be back tomorrow with more news from around the city. See you then.